Mr. Kabisi, by congratulating you on your recent first year coronation. How does it make you feel, or how did you feel throughout that period when all eyes on you and also on Old Kingdom?
Yeah, thank you, Ambassador. I was very elated all through the event. It was a feeling of triumph. It was a feeling of accomplishment. It was a feeling of gratitude as well. Triumph in the sense that we've been able to do a number of things that we thought were very difficult to achieve over a short period. And we're able to do a lot of them. So we felt triumphant that we managed to do all those things despite the odds. Appreciation based on the fact that we had so much support from all around, Owu and non-Owu indigents as well, Yorubas, non-Yorubas, people from home and abroad. It was an overwhelming feeling of acceptance, a feeling that yes, people could connect with our vision. People see through our plans and they see that it's not about Yoruba land, it's not about Auguste, it's not about Owu, it's about Nigeria. And they're all connected in different ways with enthusiasm. So that made me feel, yes, a feeling of appreciation to all those good people who were there to support us and to also support the entire, celebration that we had. So I feel very good about the entire thing.
Okay. Kabisi, you preside over a very big and large kingdom. Can you tell us a bit about the significance of Old Kingdom in the history of the Yorubas?
We'll make it short. Okay. That's a very long story. The first thing that a lot of people may not realize, including Owu sons and daughters as well, is that Owu is very international. It goes way beyond Nigeria. Here in Nigeria, we have settlements in about 8 states that I'm aware of. Apart from, Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Osun, Kwara, Ekiti. We also have settlements in Abia State. We have a community in Abia State with their own Igwe who identify completely as Owu. They migrated there during the Yoruba Wars period, which really was the Owu Wars, really, in the 1800s. And we also have another settlement up north of River Niger, who identify themselves as purely Owu. That's north of Kwara State, north of River Niger. We also have 2 settlements in Benin Republic, who are completely Owu with their own Obas as well. We have a settlement and a community in Togo, who are purely Owu with their own Oba as well, community. We have settlements in Brazil and in Cuba as well. So Owu is really international. We're not talking about those who migrated as part of, economic migration or to study, but those who have settled there and have a community with proper leadership. So you can see Owu is really international. Now that's one part of it. The other part is that a lot of us who are, based here in Nigeria may not appreciate the fact that Owu, runs much deeper and much wider than Abeokuta here. A lot of people, when they say Owu, they say, oh, Owu na Abeokuta. But when we say Owu na Abeokuta, we have settlements in many parts of Ogun State. That's Ogun Central, essentially. Awowo, Akinyele, goes as far as Balefa, to the southwest of Abeokuta, the whole of Ifo, Papa, Papalanto, and the rest. Those are part of the Owu settlement in Abeokuta. That's apart from the ones in Ogun East, the Jebu area, and the Ikosi area, and then we have in Lagos State, of course. So Owo is really, really vast in terms of the spread, in terms of the demography, and all that. And we have a very rich culture as well. Very rich culture.
And Kapis, how do you coordinate all of this? How do you relate with all the various settlements?
For those that are connected direct to Abeokuta, which are the ones in Ogun Central, we have regular meetings with all the KBSCs and the Baales once in a month here in Abeokuta. For the rest of the worldwide, we have an annual convention, which we call the Wu Convention, which holds around the first, second week of December every year, where we all come together, share, perspectives, do things together, discuss issues that are common to us as well, and have a plan for some of the things we do. And I must give credit to some of our buddies, and a lot of credit to late Chief Akinlubade, who actually, I think it was in the 80s, went all around the world trying to identify Owu settlements and communities. The body he formed at the time has now transformed to what we call the Royal Union of Owu People. So it's called ROP for short, Royal Union of Owu People. So we have that convention once in a year, and we rotate the venue. This year, 2023, we'll be having a convention in Jabugo. Last year, we had it at Telemu, which is in Osun State. In 2024, we'll be having it in Kwara. Kwara State will be hosting us on other of our own settlements. So it's that's how we connect, essentially. That's apart from the regular visits, of course. The Obas have a quarterly visit, a quarterly meeting. We held one, the one for the current quarter, we held it in Jabugo about a month and a half ago. So we do have a quarterly meeting as well. Apart from that, we have a big project. We're trying to rebuild fully Olowu, which is Osun State, which is where we migrated from, a lot of us migrated from in the early 1800s. By the way, there are a lot of other Owu settlements that are settled elsewhere before the Owu Wars of 1800s. The Kutas, Obaloyan, Ishi, Kwara State, and the rest. I mean, those ones had settled there before the 1800 Owu Wars. But then it was the main Owu War in 1825 to 1832 or thereabouts, which dislocated a lot of us. So we're trying to rebuild that Owu, and that's a big project that we're embarking upon now, and it's really well underway, where we'll all have our presence. So it's something we're trying to build secretariat there, settlement there, where all the Owu settlements outside of Owu can have a place, where we can, whenever we go there for meeting, we can just have that as our guest house or something apart from our secretariat. So we do a lot of things to bond and to ensure we keep that our relationship and our bond going.
Okay. As you start the second stanza of your coronation, what is the focus for this new phase, second phase?
It hasn't changed, by the way. What we did in the last 1 year is to kind of set up a structure, a framework on some of the things we intend to achieve. And they are very simple, really, very simple. It's about ensuring that unity, because if you don't have that unity amongst ourselves, there's zero that we can do. It starts from there. Connecting, identifying with each other, and ensuring that everything that we do, we have that sense of common purpose, the vision. So that's number one. And also with our neighbors as well. It's not just within Owu, but also with our neighbors, because we live in a society that's vast. We have those that we need to relate with in our development. We cannot isolate ourselves. So that's the first part of it. The second part is the capacity building for our people. It's been ongoing, and I mean, for a lot of us who have been monitoring the history of Owu, see there are a lot of Owus and daughters who are very successful all over the world. Not just in Ogun State, not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. Very successful. But then we need to translate that to our, a communal uh, development, communal success. Something not just for individuals, but for our collective success as well. So that is a very important, and that's why that unity of purpose is very important. And find with each other, and to ensure that our sons and daughters will help them to grow. It's about empowerment for the youth and for the women in particular. Uh, Generally, it's also about ensuring education. It's a very major focus for us, education. I mean, it has helped us so far, but then it's not just about becoming professors, by the way. It's about education in all ramifications, right? Uh, it's also about ensuring that we bring investments to our community, encouraging people, not just our sons and daughters, but you know, Nigerians and non-Nigerians come and invest in our communities. Because with that, our people and our community can then grow and then develop properly. So it's all about that. So essentially, those are the key things that we are about. Uh, it's also about ensuring that we internationalize our culture, our tradition. Let's exhibit all the good, the rich heritage that we have internationally, so people see the best of all. Yeah, the archaeological items that we have, that are history, the things we met from our forefathers and our mothers and the rest. Let's show the world. So we're also trying to do that as a major part, because that's what will then fill our sons and daughters with a sense of pride, a sense of belonging, to be able to connect. Because those who may perhaps, have had their parents say, "Oh, we're from Mose," but when they see those with rich culture, rich history, it becomes easier for them with that sense of pride to say, "Oh, yeah, I want to go back home. I want to go see where my grandfather grew up in the village," and then hopefully then be part of the development. So that's also part of what we're trying to do. So we will, in the last 1 year, we made a framework for this very clearly, and then we'll be building on this to ensure that we really embed it. Okay.
Kabisa, how do you spend your typical day? I know that since you became Kabisa, your lifestyle and work process will have changed. So how did you adjust and how do you spend your?
Well, adjusting wasn't so. It wasn't seamless. I mean, that's the truth. It wasn't seamless. But then the knowing that it's a different role, which requires that I recondition my lifestyle, and the priority is that we need to deliver on the things we want to set ourselves. So it made it easier for me to kind of adjust, not just myself, even my family and my friends as well. Because I mean, everybody who wants to connect with that and be part of the journey and the history needs to, reconnect. So of course, there are a lot of constraints. I mean, ordinarily, up until August 1st, 2022, every morning I normally take a 1 hour walk. I don't have that luxury anymore, right? I go to swim. I don't have that luxury anymore. And I do a few other things that kind of, even in the office, I normally take about half an hour walk in the office during the office hours. Just kind of unwind and then come back and reset. I don't have that luxury anymore. So what I'm trying to do is to now, reconnect to golf. That's one of the few things. But then the other thing I do regularly is yoga. I do that, and that keeps me going. Apart from that, it's essentially just trying to once the administrative structure is properly embedded. I think we've done that largely now. It then becomes easier for me to be able to move around and engage our sons and daughters outside of Adopt, essentially in Lagos and Abuja, because that's also part of what we need to do, to go physically visit, to go meet them around their environment, and then have discussion with them around things that we need to do together. So those are the kind of things that I'm engaging myself in these days, which of course is a different thing from what I used to do in the last my past life, I must say, because it's a new life now, essentially.
Kabisa, do you think that traditional rulers have been accorded the rightful place in society?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. One thing is for sure, though, the society and our communities really appreciate the role of traditional rulers. They recognize the role, the importance, uh, and the fact that when there are issues, they know they can always go to traditional ruler, especially in this part of the world, part of Nigeria, Yoruba land. They will always go to the palace. Even those who have issues paying school fees, when there are disputes, they come to the palace regularly. But however, the government has not. And that's because the Constitution has not given us a formal role. And I think that is where the key is. But then when there are issues that the politicians see that, oh, we need the traditional rulers to help us fix this, of course, they always come to the traditional rulers to do that. But then providing a formal role constitutionally that enables us to do these things effectively is the missing thing. And it's a very important thing that we need to do. Of course, we have democracy, which is great. From the central government to the state government to the local government, which is great. But then there are a number of things that traditional rulers regularly do that requires a formalizing those roles constitutionally that will also empower them and embolden them to do these things more effectively and contribute to our development and our growth in our societies. So that needs to be done if we are to, develop better as a society. I'll give you a few examples. Since when we came on board, we've been trying a number of ways to see how we can attract investments, and I mentioned that earlier on. And of course, the government has been very cooperative because each time we see an opportunity, we see a potential investor, we kind of connect them to the government where they have issues in terms of setting up, because some of them could be naive. They go about things, some of these processes, the wrong way, which could cost them, uh, in terms of time and resources. And then we connect them to the appropriate arm of government to help them set up and reset their process so they can get what they need to do to get going. So we do that, and I'm happy that at least the Ogun State government, they've been very supportive in that role. They recognize those efforts and they see the benefit that is complementary to what they are doing. We also recently have been trying to support the healthcare, the primary healthcare in particular. I mean, when we came in here, the health center down the Olowu Palace Road was in a very bad state of disrepair. It was actually uh, not being patronized by patients. People had to go there. So when we came on board and I visited the place and I saw the place and I felt this should not be the way things, uh, uh, you know, uh, should be. So we supported by trying to revamp the place. If you pass through the place now, it's just the health center at the end of the road, you see that there's construction work going on there now. Now we facilitated that with the support of local government, of course, because it's not a local government. And when we approach local government, look, we see this health center as being in a state of disrepair, disused, and want to do. And I said, oh, by all means, go ahead. We welcome all the support you can give. So we got the support. So we're trying to revamp the place now. Of course, ordinarily we had provided mattresses, we provide a few basic items to make the place a bit more functional. Now people go there regularly for immunization and for health talk and the rest. But we're trying to expand the place and make the place a bit more functional. Again, part of the thing you agree. There's also another one, I think they call it Total 4 Ward. Total Ward 4, I think, which is around the Itaiko area, Akinubadi area, which we're also trying to do something similar for. Right now, they're having to use a rented premises. So we have to pay some money to defray the debts they had incurred in that property and try to help them to see if the government or ourselves can partner to help them get a place where they can have as their primary health center in that part of. And also we're trying to encourage women to bring their kids for immunization regularly, which is a very important thing. There's a polio, there's a measles, there's all sorts of things for immunization. But I think we're also winning in that case, and I'm quite happy with that. We're also partnering with a number of Nigerians, not necessarily people, Nigerians generally, NIDO, the Nigerian Diaspora Organization, who, when we visited the US earlier in the year, had expressed interest to partner with us to provide us with medical support, even equipment. They have said they will shift some of the equipment, wherever we find health facilities that are willing and ready to accept those and be able to maintain and use those facilities. So we are also trying to do that with them and see if we can get some more facilities into those healthcare centers. So some of the things. Again, during the visit we made to the US and then in May this year, we also tried to connect the consortium of universities here in Nigeria with the consortium of universities over in the US. And we decided I want to start small by identifying a few universities, mainly in Ogun State, apart from UI, which I brought in because that's my alma mater. Again, very clearly so. So it's about University of Ibadan, the University of Agric Abeokuta here, Onabisi Onabanjo University. We also have the Adibaya Polytechnic and Gateway Polytechnic Shapade. We have Bells University and Crescent University, all part of the consortium in Abeokuta. So they've come together to have an MOU whereby they support each other. We also have a consortium in the US made up of Princeton University, Rutgers, Penn State University, and University of Maryland in College Park. And then there's another body called the IES Abroad. It's a study center, if you like. It's a body, an NGO, if you like, made up by over 170 universities in the US for their study abroad program. So we are partnering with them and trying to see how we can connect these two consortia so that we can have exchange programs, curriculum exchange, student exchange, co-teaching, proposal, you can do research together, and a number of other things. And the primary thing is really how can we support our universities in Nigeria for them to do to internationalize, if you like. We know a lot of constraints that they have these days. Hopefully with this, it will help them be able to come up with research proposals that will enable them access to educational materials out there, technology out there, advanced knowledge out there, and help them operate as well. And hopefully have funds to do a few other things. So again, part of the thing we're trying to do is to see how we can set up a program within that frame that will create employment for our youth using agric as a base. Right now, we've agreed that the consumer universities here in Nigeria, in fact, we had a meeting last week, Wednesday, where we agreed that they will come up with a proposal for a template for that. That will be an employment generation opportunity that based on agriculture. And agric is a very, very important part that we need to focus on. So that's also part of what we're doing. I can mention a lot of other things that we're doing, but those are just a few. I mean, again, we're looking at how to set up a very big fish farm that will be a kind of protein basket for the whole of West Africa, if you like. That will also be a source of foreign exchange earner for us as well. And that we're trying to do in partnership with the Association of Fish Farmers of Ogun State. And also there's another big private farm enterprise we're working with to build that somewhere to go Ogun Central here as well. So a few of the things we're trying to do in town. This is something that I was aware of as young as about 8, 9 years old. It's something that I was never interested in. Something I was made aware of. It's something that because the notion we had about becoming a traditional ruler in Yoruba land is that you have to do some certain things that has to do with, some fetish things. So to that extent, I was never interested. As I grew up, my family, not my parents, my family began to suggest it to me that whenever the role of Olowu becomes open, that I should represent the family. But it was something I always dismissed with a joke. And I'd always, I just wasn't interested in it until January 2022, when the family called me. That was after the passing away of Kogwiri, the 13th Olowu. And they then, had some very serious discussion with me. It was a bit of tough discussion. And I said, oh yeah, sure, I'll have to do this. looks like it's responsibility that the family has just said, look, you are the one who will do all the groundwork, but you go there and represent us because we're doing this together. It's not about you, it's about us as a community and you representing us. So I said, okay, that's fine. So, and here we are.
Then, sir, obviously, what would be your advice to the various people in position of authority in terms of how to make the country a lot more um, amenable or easy? Because we are faced with so
Yeah.
many problems, both at the community level, at
Yeah.
the state level.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
your thoughts?
You know, leadership is something that your responsibility. And then if you want to be an effective leader, first of all, you must have very clear vision of exactly what you want to achieve. Very clear vision. You must also have a very clear strategy and know who the key stakeholders are. Those people that you need to ensure buy into that vision and then will co-own the plan for whatever you want to achieve. So that's a very important part of the whole thing. The second part is that you must be prepared to open up yourself. If you have sketch in your cupboard, there's little you can do really, because people will blackmail you into submission, so they can do whatever they want to do under the guise of serving you. People use that always. So you must, first of all, I mean, like they say, he who preaches equity must come with clean hands. You must be prepared to say, yeah, here I am. I mean, I made a few mistakes, but then, guys, we need to ensure that we do this right. Right? We all have, I mean, there's nobody who is a saint, really. But you must come with clean hands and be ready to, and have the courage to push things through. There are people out there who are only bent on what they can get materially, position, influence, wealth, whatever it is, either by hook or crook. You must be ready to confront them. If you don't have the courage to confront them and be clean yourself to the extent that you can stare them in the face and then make sure that you do what you, provided of course that you have all the key stakeholders on your side, because I mean there's nothing you can do alone. You need advisors, you need chiefs or lieutenants, whatever you want to call them. And you must make sure you surround yourself with the right people. With the right people who have bought into your vision and who are also ready to do the right things, who are ready to sacrifice for that cause. I mean, I could be back in Lagos doing what I was doing and living a comfortable life. But I chose to do this despite the fact that I know there are a lot of constraints to it. A lot of constraints to it. A lot of things that I ordinarily would like to do, but I know I have to sacrifice those things for me to do this. So there's sort of a sacrifice that one has to make. So it's a combination of those things. Sincerity of purpose, you must be courageous, you must be bold to take the right step, identify the key stakeholders, and ensure that you get them to buy into your vision and get them to be ready to sacrifice as well. Once you have all of those ones, it becomes easier to manage the rest. It's unfortunate that all the potentials we have as a nation, majorly the human resources, as smart as we are as Nigerians, as successful as we are um, home and abroad individually, we have not been able to translate that to a collective success and progress and development for us as a nation. It's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. So those ingredients must be there for us to move forward for any society. But then, despite all the challenges we have, we must not give up hope. Wherever we find ourselves, is to ensure that in your own little space, do whatever you can. Hopefully, some people will be doing the right things in their own little space. And hopefully, those little things will connect. At some point, becomes bigger bubble, and then you can hopefully overcome some of the challenges you're having. So that's just my view.
Thank you, Kabisi.
Thank you very much.
Kabesi, yeah, on the last note, Kabesi, I want you to give us advice to the youth about this get rich quick syndrome or social advice.
The get quick rich syndrome. It's not a Nigerian problem, by the way. It's a global problem. Unfortunately, the social media has really amplified. You know, things can get around very quickly these days. So whatever is being done in the US or in Asia, you can see it in Nigeria very quickly and very easily. And you have so-called influencers, whether for good or for bad. So that makes it very difficult to manage some of these things. However, for our youth, my view is this. We all want to be successful materially. We all want to be successful in terms of position, in terms of what we achieve in life. However, there's no success that will be sustainable if you don't go about it the right way. If you don't earn it, you cannot buy success. You cannot force your way to success. It's just not possible. You can fleetingly, temporarily, you may achieve something either by a hook or crook, but eventually it will crumble. So my advice essentially is for our youth to have skills, to be diligent in whatever they are doing, and to ensure that whatever they are doing, they acquire it via the right means. But that's the only way, really. There's no problem about getting, becoming rich really is not the end of it. A lot of people have found out that after they become rich, they become famous, at some point in their life, they begin to regret. Why? Because they feel lonely at some point when some of these things go away. They feel lonely. And the loneliness is because they have not built the necessary, if you like, environment around themselves when they were building whatever success they thought they had achieved. It's about how much lives they've impacted positively, where they were going, rising, or whatever they get to, or the worth they get to. It's about how well they've built the good family relationship, not only the immediate one, but also the communal one. Because you need to have a social circle around yourselves, whether it's religious, whether it's a family, whether it's extended family, whether it's a community. It's only when you build a community around yourself that you've impacted positively. Whenever you get to that pinnacle that you get to, whether God destines you to get to eventually, and then maybe somehow you go beyond it, because we always get to that point at some stage in our lives. Those people that you impacted will not leave you. They will always be there for you. It's replete in history, these sort of things as well. You find people who have been 6 CEOs, who have been very famous, suddenly in their old, when they are in their late 70s, maybe late 60s, late 70s, when they've retired, just find out they are lonely. But they will not be lonely if they build the right community around themselves. So my advice essentially is for them to go about building or achieving this or chasing the success whatever the success means to anybody, to chase it in the right way. That way it will be enduring.